Welcome back, everyone. What we are examining today is one of the most misunderstood dynamics in the entire landscape of human relationships. Everyone has been warned about the narcissist. Nobody warned you about what the empath becomes when they finally reach their limit. Today, that changes completely. The world spent years documenting narcissistic abuse, naming the tactics, building entire psychological libraries around what narcissists do and why their targets end up so systematically destroyed. That documentation was necessary. It saved lives. But it left one chapter completely unwritten. The chapter about what happens when the empath's patience expires and their power fully arrives. Here is the question nobody has been willing to ask directly. Between an abusive narcissist and an angry empath, who is actually more dangerous? Not more cruel, not more destructive to innocent people, but more psychologically precise, more permanently effective, and more devastating to the specific person on the receiving end. The answer will surprise you, and it absolutely should. We have been conditioned to see the empath as the perpetual victim, the sensitive one, the forgiving one, the one who stays long past the point where staying makes any rational sense. That conditioning was not accidental. The narcissist cultivated it deliberately, because an empath who sees themselves only as a victim never discovers the extraordinary, surgical psychological power they actually carry. Today, that discovery happens. The narcissist is dangerous the way a weapon is dangerous, cold, mechanical, designed specifically for destruction. The empath is dangerous in an entirely different way. The empath is dangerous the way truth is dangerous. And truth, when it finally arrives with full force behind it, is the one weapon the narcissist has absolutely no defense against. Remember that, because everything that follows builds on that single foundation. To understand why angry empath energy is more devastating than narcissistic abuse, you must first understand the fundamental difference in how each operates. The narcissist causes damage through subtraction, systematically removing the target's self-worth, clarity, and sense of reality. The angry empath causes damage through addition, adding truth, precision, and irrefutable clarity to a landscape the narcissist spent years carefully obscuring. Subtraction can be recovered from. The addition of truth cannot be undone. Narcissistic rage is powered by emptiness. It erupts from a void, from the absence of genuine self, genuine feeling, genuine connection. It is loud because it has nothing real to say. It is cruel because cruelty is the only language available to someone who never developed an authentic emotional vocabulary. Narcissistic rage is the sound of a hollow thing striking against the walls of its own containment. Damaging, yes, but structurally, ultimately, empty. Empath anger is powered by the exact opposite. It emerges from depth, from years of careful, painful, reluctant witnessing, from a reservoir of emotional data so vast and precisely retained that when it is finally directed with full intention at its source, it carries not just feeling, but evidence. Not just pain, but documentation. Not just fury, but the specific, surgical knowledge of exactly where every wound was inflicted and by what instrument. Here is the clinical reality the narcissist never accounted for. While the narcissist was performing, the empath was observing. While the narcissist was constructing false narratives, the empath was cataloging every inconsistency. While the narcissist believed they were managing a vulnerable, increasingly destabilized target, the empath was quietly, painfully, against their own desperate wish to be wrong, building a complete, irrefutable psychological case file. Every lie, every contradiction, every moment the mask slipped, all of it retained, all of it waiting. The narcissist's primary weapon is confusion, the manufactured uncertainty that keeps the target unable to trust their own perceptions. Gaslighting, contradiction, reality distortion. These tools work because they operate against the target's own desire to understand and resolve. Against an angry empath who has finally stopped needing the relationship to make sense, they are completely, entirely inert. The confusion finds no available foothold. And a weapon that cannot find purchase cannot cause damage. What makes the angry empath categorically more dangerous than the abusive narcissist in direct psychological confrontation is a quality the narcissist fundamentally lacks and cannot simulate: moral authority. The empath speaks from genuine injury. Their anger is not manufactured. Their account is not constructed to serve a strategic narrative. It is simply devastatingly accurate. And accuracy, delivered from authentic injury with the full weight of years of suppressed truth behind it, is something no amount of narcissistic charm, denial, or counter-narrative can withstand. The turning point arrives when the empath stops explaining and starts declaring. This is a profound psychological shift, and the narcissist feels it viscerally. Explanation contains an implicit request to be understood, to be met with reciprocal honesty. Declaration contains no such request. It is complete in itself. It requires nothing from the listener. The empath who has shifted from explanation to declaration has become someone the narcissist's entire tactical library was never designed to manage. The first weapon the angry empath deploys is withdrawal of emotional availability. Not performed withdrawal, the kind the narcissist learned to read as a bid for attention. Genuine, complete, structurally irreversible withdrawal. The empath's emotional world, previously oriented toward the narcissist with the constancy of gravity, simply reorients inward, toward themselves. And the narcissist, reaching for the emotional engagement that was always previously accessible, finds nothing. Not emptiness. Something far worse: the empath's complete, ferocious investment in their own life. The second weapon is specificity. The angry empath does not traffic in generalized grievances. They name dates, incidents, exact words, specific behaviors at specific moments. They speak with the precision of someone who has been taking notes for years, because emotionally, they have been. The empath's emotional memory retains everything. And everything, deployed with surgical precision, leaves the narcissist with nowhere to hide inside the conversation. Every exit route blocked. Every reframe countered before it forms. The third weapon, the most devastating one, is indifference to the narcissist's response. Every previous confrontation was undermined by the empath's emotional investment in the narcissist's reaction. The need for acknowledgement, for accountability, for something resembling genuine remorse. That need was the empath's most significant vulnerability, and the narcissist exploited it every single time. The angry empath has relinquished that need entirely. They are no longer speaking to be understood. They are speaking because the truth requires speaking. The narcissist's response is irrelevant, and irrelevance, to a narcissist, is the deepest possible wound. Here is the dramatic plot twist. Throughout the relationship, the narcissist positioned the empath's sensitivity as their primary weakness. You feel too much. You care too much. You are too emotional. These were not observations. They were strategic diminishments designed to make the empath ashamed of their greatest strength. The angry empath turns every one of those qualities into a precision instrument. The feeling becomes the most accurate perception. The caring becomes unshakable moral authority. The sensitivity becomes radar that sees everything. The narcissist built their weapon for them and handed it back when the empath finally got angry. Watch what happens when all three weapons arrive simultaneously: withdrawal, precision, and indifference. The narcissist's standard defense repertoire activates immediately: denial, deflection, manufactured vulnerability. But each defensive move lands against something it was never designed to penetrate. The denial finds no emotional reaction to redirect. The deflection finds no available access point. The manufactured vulnerability plays to an audience of one who has seen behind the curtain and will never again mistake the performance for the person. The arsenal is empty. The narcissist is standing in a confrontation with no tools left. The narcissist's collapse in the face of genuine empath anger is not dramatic or immediate. It is the collapse of the internal narrative that sustained their entire sense of superiority and invulnerability. The angry empath did not attack the narcissist's exterior. They undermined the foundation. And a structure whose foundation has been undermined does not fall immediately. It stands, looking intact, while everything essential shifts and loosens beneath the surface, until it cannot stand anymore. The first consequence is the destruction of the narcissist's internal rewrite capacity. Throughout the relationship, they maintained psychological equilibrium by continuously reconstructing history, revising events to eliminate accountability, maintaining an internal narrative where they were always ultimately justified. The angry empath's specific, precisely recalled account of events makes that rewriting impossible. The details are too exact. The documentation too complete. The narcissist cannot revise without confronting the deliberateness of the revision. And that confrontation is psychologically unsustainable. The social consequences compound rapidly. The angry empath speaking from moral authority and precise truth generates a credibility the narcissist's performance-based charm cannot match. People who heard both versions of the story, the narcissist's constructed narrative and the empath's factual account, begin reconciling the two. Truth has a texture that performance lacks. People feel the difference even when they cannot name it. And the social ecosystem shifts. Quietly. Permanently. Against the narcissist and toward the person who simply told the truth. Here is the consequence that hits the narcissist hardest, the one they prepared for least. The empath's visible thriving. After the anger has done its work, after the confrontation, the withdrawal, the complete reorientation towards self, the empath begins, visibly and undeniably, to recover, to expand, to become more fully themselves than the relationship ever permitted. And the narcissist, monitoring from a distance with the fixation of someone whose primary supply has been removed, watches this expansion with a specific, unresolvable psychological devastation that no new supply source can soothe or replace. The darkest consequence unfolds entirely in the narcissist's interior. The empath's words, precise, truthful, delivered with complete authority, do not stay outside the narcissist. They enter. They settle into the interior spaces beneath the grandiose defense with the specific weight of things that are true. And truth, inside a psychology built entirely on self-deception, does not sit quietly. It corrodes. Slowly. Persistently. Without mercy. The angry empath did not need to destroy the narcissist from the outside. They planted the destruction on the inside. And walked away while it worked. Here is the final truth this entire video was constructed to deliver. The angry empath is more dangerous than the abusive narcissist not because they are more cruel or more calculated. They are more dangerous because they are more real. Everything the angry empath brings, the pain, the precision, the accumulated truth, the finally arrived fury, is genuine. Sourced in actual experience. And genuine, in a confrontation with someone who built their entire existence on performance, is the only force powerful enough to penetrate that performance completely and permanently. The narcissist's abuse is ultimately a performance of power by someone who does not possess genuine power. The angry empath's response is the expression of power by someone who has it, deep, real, hard-won, forged in the specific fire of surviving what was done to them with their essential humanity intact. Those are not equivalent forces. That is authentic power meeting performed power. And authentic power, when it is fully activated and fully deployed, wins. Every single time. Without exception. To every empath who has not yet given themselves permission to be angry, hear this: your anger is not a character flaw. It is not evidence of becoming like them. It is not a departure from the compassion that defines you. Your anger is the most honest signal your psychology is capable of generating, the irrefutable internal declaration that what was done to you was not acceptable, was not your fault, and will not be tolerated any longer. That signal is sacred. Honor it. Your sensitivity, the quality they mocked, exploited, and made you ashamed of, is the source of your most extraordinary power. Not in spite of what happened, but because of it. The empath who survived narcissistic abuse and processed it honestly does not become less sensitive. They become more precisely sensitive. Their perceptual instruments refined by exposure to one of the most sophisticated deceptive personalities human psychology produces. You are not damaged goods. You are calibrated equipment. And calibrated equipment, in the right hands, your own, is extraordinarily powerful. Do not rush to forgiveness before the anger has completed its work, before it has told you everything it carries, named everything it needs to name, drawn every boundary it exists to draw. Premature forgiveness is not healing. It is the continuation of the pattern that kept you in the dynamic. Let the anger finish. Let it be complete. And then, when it has delivered everything it came to deliver, let it transform. Not into forgiveness of the narcissist. Into fuel for the life you are now building. The life you are building is the final, most complete expression of why the angry empath is more dangerous than the narcissist. Because the narcissist's damage is ultimately destructive. It consumes, diminishes, and collapses. The angry empath's power is ultimately generative. It clarifies, expands, and builds. The narcissist leaves wreckage. The angry empath, channeling their full psychological power toward their own life, leaves legacy. A life so fully, authentically, powerfully their own that every person who witnesses it is reminded of what genuine human thriving actually looks like. What the world needs to understand, what this video exists to establish, is that the empath is not the natural prey of the narcissist. The empath is the narcissist's most dangerous encounter. Not because the empath seeks to destroy, but because the empath carries the one thing the narcissist's entire constructed existence was built to avoid, the capacity to see clearly, feel completely, and speak truthfully about what they see and feel without distortion, without strategic agenda, and without needing the listener's agreement to make the truth real. That capacity does not diminish under pressure. It ignites. The narcissist is dangerous. Carry that knowledge as protection. But know this, you are not less dangerous. You are differently dangerous. And the difference is everything. The narcissist is dangerous because they destroy. You are dangerous because you illuminate. And in a darkness as complete as the one they create, one clear, unafraid, fully arrived light is the most catastrophic thing that can possibly enter the room. You are that light. You always were. And now, finally, completely, powerfully, you know it.